Hey guys, Timothy here for Sharp 11 Music. Welcome back to the channel. It's time for another lick of the week, and of course, this week's lick just had to be this one. So what is happening in this monster of a pickup line? I'm just gonna tell you, it's mostly diminished. So, as you may already recognize from the first few notes, it's already a dead giveaway. So these are pretty much the notes from F diminished, so half whole diminished. Half whole, half whole, half whole. That's how that works. E flat, F sharp, or G flat and A. And even the A flat. Those are all just in the scale. And then we have this, which if you single it out like this, it's pretty obvious that it's an enclosure for this G flat or F sharp. It's just jazz. And then more notes of the scale. The flat and major third of F and the F itself. Oops. And then we have just a typical Pat Methenyism. These chromatically descending major thirds, they could also be minor thirds, but it's mostly just a fingering thing. And then we have, we're still in the same diminished scale. So a little enclosure of the E flats, ascending up the scale. And this briefly spells out a B major. Little chromatic passing tone from the B to the A. And then here, when he lands on the A, it's actually a copy of what he does here. So we get an enclosure of the G. And it's actually, this whole thing is a copy of itself, a major third up. So and then, whoops, it's a little bit hard to hear, but I think that's what I hear. Now we have an augmented shape or sound going on. So this could be whole tone, which he just shifts up chromatically. When he gets to this, he doesn't play the full augmented thing anymore, but he goes directly to this. So you can, I see this as like a little cell, once again, just like Alan Holdsworth. That's what I see when I see this. And then enclosure of the A flats, enclosure of the F, and we're back in a diminished kind of sound. This is You could say this is D flat 7 sharp 9. With a sharp 11. So that would be from D flat half whole diminished. And then he lands on the F, where the whole band kicks in again. So from the start. E flat diminished, G flat diminished, whatever you want to call it, however you want to see it, it's the same thing. So that's the first pattern or segment. Enclosure of the G flat. The flat and major third of F. And then the chromatic Pat Methenyism, enclosure of the E flats, ascending diminished scale, jump up to the B, with a chromatic passing tone between B and A, enclosure of the G, and then G diminished. Oh. Augmented pattern chromatically ascending until we get to F. Enclosure of the A flat. Enclosure of the F with all the chromatic notes in between. And then D flat 7 sharp 9 sharp 11, D flat diminished, however you want to call it, until he lands back on F. Now, for 90% of this, F is like the thread that connects everything, like a little pedal point. Even though at the end you have you could say he goes to F a whole half diminished. So he goes from to, it's so related to, it's so similar because it's so symmetrical. But it's still a different sound, and the F is like the glue that binds the two. Very poetic. The only thing that doesn't really fit in there is this G diminished. That one doesn't have the F in it. But that also creates more of an outside sound. So this isn't a very grounding sound to begin with. So this is a very grounding thing, but this is very ambiguous. But it does increase the tension when he goes to this. Also because it rises in range. In the beginning, it's like Flight of the Bumblebee. It's like it's staying in this vicinity of the same note, and so at first he stays in this area, and he even descends. And then he peaks out a little bit above it, and then even more, and then more and more, until here he reaches a peak, and then he goes back down into melodic territory. So there's a lot of elements in there that contribute to that sound of what the hell is happening. First of all, it's diminished, it's ambiguous. The range is very limited at first, and he expands it bit by bit. So that's the entire range. And then he extends it down. Now all of a sudden we have, so we were at a tritone, now we have a minor 6. And now we have, you could say, a major 7. And then he stays in this higher thing and just increases. He increases the tension by just going up and up and up. And also here at the end, it's a little bit more. It's also minor pentatonic that's in there, so it's a little bit more of a familiar thing, so your ears can grasp something like, oh, I sort of recognize this. And it offers a little bit more relaxation. And it's all very subtle, of course. When you hear this, it's mostly like WTF. But of course, we don't settle with that, and we want to get to the bottom of things. So that's my breakdown of this. That's my 2 cents. A little note on if you want to practice this to get up to speed. This is fast as balls, but technique is basically a coping mechanism. So I've said this before, but what you want to do is try to get comfortable in a certain tempo. This is like 155, 16 notes. And it's really hard. But try to gradually work up to that 155. Now you have like I like to work with BPMs. So 155 is the goal. And if my current max is like 120, I just try to bump it up a little bit and try to get comfortable at the new tempo. And it will take some time, but like I said, technique is basically a coping mechanism. So eventually your body will adapt and get used to that feeling of the new tempo, and it will relax at a certain point, and then that is the point where you can bump it up again. And that's basically a very, very brief description of how you can work up to that tempo. Also be sure to experiment with your picking direction. Because here, I actually invert my picking. So it's not strictly alternate, because I try to do it picking on the outside, but picking on the inside proved to be a bit faster. And also there's a lot of slurs in there, and hammer-ons and pull-offs and stuff like that. But that's the way to do it. I hope this was helpful. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you have fun with this, and see you guys next time.